Okay, here goes. This is kind of scary for me, but it's something I've been thinking about doing and decided today was the day to start my first video post. The idea behind it is to share some of the childhood stories from growing up in Africa. Some of you know that my mom and dad were Baptist missionaries in Ivory Coast, West Africa, and so most of my childhood and teen years was in Africa. I first thought about writing a book, and then I decided, nah, I really think today people tend to watch videos more or listen to podcasts more than reading books. So this is my first story about growing up in Africa. This one is called Chased by a Gorilla. So Mom took the four of us kids, at that time I think there were four of us, David, myself, Bonnie, Bobby, and I think Dan hadn't come along yet. He was the surprise baby. But anyway, she took us to the zoo. I don't remember my dad being with us. The zoo was a fun place to visit, but it wasn't exactly up to standards. It was just a typical African zoo back in the late 60s and early 70s. And some of the chimps and gorillas and such were not in cages, they were chained to a tree. So all of a sudden we're going through the zoo and some of the zoo workers come running up yelling and waving their arms and saying, "Quick, get to the office, get to the office. The gorilla's loose or a chimp is loose or something." Well, I don't remember exactly what words they used, but I know we were terrified and we started running and we locked ourselves up into the zoo's office. And I remember looking out the window and I was convinced it was a huge gorilla that was on the loose and the workers were trying to find it and get it chained back up to the tree. So I remember looking out the window and my brother and I were, the two oldest in the family. So we were kind of looking out the window trying to figure out, what the deal was, trying to catch a glimpse of this gorilla. I don't think we ever saw it, but finally, maybe 20 minutes later, the worker came back and said, "Okay, we got him, you're safe." And it turns out it was a chimp. Now, I still wouldn't want to be chased by a big chimp because chimps can get pretty big. But I think that was the first time I remember having kind of an anxiety attack because I could just imagine, this gorilla coming and beating on the door and breaking the door down and coming in and grabbing one of us up and taking off with us and who knows what. So as you can see, that part of my brain was already learning really well how to make a mountain out of a molehill. Not that being chased by a chimp would be a small thing, but it kind of makes me remember that oftentimes when we're anxious about something, we're seeing the situation in our minds as much worse than it really is. And we're imagining the worst possible outcome. No wonder we get anxious when we do that. So the day ended well, but there was some excitement. And I have another monkey story to tell you, but I'll save that for next time. I've got snake stories, monkey stories, all kinds of stories. And some of them kind of relate to life lessons. So I hope to kind of add that on at the end of the story for some of them. And on this one, it is that, when you're anxious and worried about something, stop and ask yourself if you're seeing things realistically, if you're making negative assumptions about it, if you're doing the worst case scenario thing, and try to kind of pare it down back to reality. See you next time.